How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today, we're going to talk about sunglasses because they're so expensive, and every single time I buy a name brand pair, just like these are Versace, and they cost me about $200, and they're polarized, so they're a little bit more expensive. But every time when I buy them, I feel a bit ripped off because, you know, when you take these pair off, it's so light. Is it made out of gold or anything? There's no gold on here or anything. It's all plastic with a little bit of metal. How can this be $200? The thing is, a lot of the top name brand sunglasses, they're actually made by the same company called Luxottica. Today we're gonna look into these sunglasses and find out exactly what your money is paying for. Long time ago, I had a pair of Oakleys, and then later on I got a pair of Ray-Bans thinking that, yeah, maybe they're different companies, different design, right? But turns out they're actually a house brand made by Luxottica, the same company. When they own it, that means they don't have to pay any royalties to anybody like these designer labels over here. What I understand is that these designer labels have a specification of what they kind of want sunglasses to look like, and then actually Luxottica designs it for them and they approve it. It's not like the designer labels actually design it and then license it to Luxottica. That means when you're buying one pair or another, it could have been from the same, exactly the same CAD designer that was, you know, just designing it a little differently for each brand. Something to think about. The takeaway from all these is that when you walk into a store and it has all these brands and stuff, it gives the impression that you have a lot of selection. Yeah, it is a lot of selection, but it's actually all made by the same company. And a lot of people don't realize this. They have a lot of different stores that name differently, but it's really the same store. So LensCrafter, Pearl Vision, Sears Optical, Target Optical are all stores by Luxottica. I'm not naming the ones I didn't know. There's a lot of different ones and a lot of different brands too, but these kind of give you an idea of how vast this multi-branded conglomerate really is. Maybe next time I'm gonna buy some generic ones from either Costco or Walmart. Hopefully they'll fit fine, because when you buy a pair like this, it has the name brand. You're paying a lot for the name brand. Also for the style and selection, because you can just walk in the store and then put it on and you go, oh, does it look good on me? Does it, you know, feel okay? I mean, you can kind of do the same thing with these stores as well, but they have a smaller selection. So I went ahead and looked at Luxottica's financial statements, because it's just what I like to do, and kind of look at their business. In 2007, they had a revenue of $4.9 billion, and that's a lot of sunglasses. But in 2015, only 8 years later, they almost doubled it in $8.8 billion of revenue worldwide. And the cost to make these is $2.8 billion. The cost would be, you know, like they have to design it, they have to actually manufacture it somewhere. It says this one here made in Italy, so they probably have to stamp out these metal things, extrude these plastic, and have polarized lenses and things like that. Usually you can take a look at the item itself and just kind of see how much effort they put into actually making this thing. And you know, you can just take one glass and see that the actual cost to make this, it doesn't cost that much. It's plastic, okay? So it says here in the financial statements, they have 32% of costs. Pay for the plastic, pay for the factory and things. But really, it shouldn't be that high, because on a pair of $200 sunglasses, $64 is cost. Give me a break. Most of the cost, it's going to be in licensing fees, and they're gonna be paid out to all the designer labels, you know, like for this one, Versace. I don't know how much is gonna go to them, but I believe a really big portion of this $64. I'm just gonna guesstimate that this thing probably takes less than $10 to make. I don't know, ballpark. So the rest of this goes to Versace. Okay, that's fine and all, because you look at this, it's $200 sunglasses. The designer label should get some money, right? But where does all the rest of the money go to? There's still $136 to account for. In their financial statements, you can see that the profit is about 10% of these glasses. $200 sunglasses, $20 is gonna be their profit. $20 is gonna go into their bank account after they pay for everything, you know, such as operation, to pay for their office space, paying for the rent or whatever for all these stores that they have open. They need to have advertising fees, and they also need to pay the people to do the work, right? Such as salaries and bonuses. But to me, when I look at this is a lot of money spent on overhead here. Most of the money that you're paying is really going towards running the company itself. From what I can tell, looking at other financial statements, this is kind of like a bloated company where they're just burning a lot of the money and not keeping a lot of the profits. So when I look at the $200 here and what it divides up into, I see that most of it is in licensing fees, and a lot of it could be buried inside inefficiency in the company. So are there any alternatives if you want a pair of designer sunglasses? Well, one thing is, if you're stuck on designer sunglasses, you really want designer sunglasses, there's something you can do because you have to buy it from them. But there are alternatives if you don't care too much about the brand. Once you know that these sunglasses are designed by the same company and that they're not really from the designer label themselves, you kind of go, well, you know, is it really worth it because this is just a pseudo label. They're just putting a brand on it and you're paying a bunch of licensing fees. When you think of it that way, it may not make as much sense to buy these sunglasses. If you're interested in finding more about this company and what all this sunglasses business is all about, I'll leave a link right here about Luxottica. It's a 60-minute spot about them. Don't forget to give me a like over here and let me know in the comment section if you're still going to buy designer label sunglasses even though they're $200. And don't forget to subscribe over here. Thanks for watching.